Tell us what you're hearing with respect to your relatives in Ukraine and their experience of airstrikes or seeking shelter, or friends that you've talked to.
So, as I just said, people should imagine in the US that Ukraine is as large as France. It's populated, we living in the megapolises. It's not that easy to overtake a megapolises, even like with, troops which are deployed. However, it's possible to, damage and hurt. We lived for many years, especially in the, most of the Ukraine, apart from where conflict was fought, in a quite a usual Western way, in that way that your audience lives today. So for everybody, it's shock. Despite the war is there, despite of the warning, you still couldn't imagine that scale of the attack, because it's really unthinkable from the human point of view, from the historical point of view. I may be kind of moving a bit from the personal moment, but I really want to say that, like, following all the other wars, it's way bigger, it's way which we had in our generation. So the people thought they could, go to the west of the country. They are, welcomed by their relatives, by friends. But there were not just really traffic jams at the moment when it was really clear that Russia is targeting, not just capital, which they probably want to overtake. Would it be safe to travel? Of course, Ukrainian railway works. Airlines, of course, not, but the railway works. The roads are there. So people thought, like, should we just wait for these days to be safe? And in this regard, also people, they are not calm, they're afraid, but they keep some dignity in how do they respond. They, everybody who is active trying to do something, active. And of course, people try to care about their kids, elderly, parents. So they were asked to stay at home, maybe go to shelters, under the houses, in the basements of the houses. So that's where we are. But the electricity, the water, or like mobile connection, it still works. It's also not the miracle. It's also the part of the, state is trying to, to make it possible.
Yeah, that's right, because that would ensure real panic if the electricity went out and the ability to get water and so on went out. I understand your husband, you're a war correspondent, so you've been through something like this before. Your husband, I'm told, you had a little talk with him about not going on the balcony and how to protect oneself. I'm told he took a trip this morning to get something that would keep you guys safe.
Yeah, we are both journalists, and so for us, it's how to say it. I can't say easy, but I think that's this sense of purpose is there, because I think I would be really mad, just to be there and read the news. We still, figure out what is the most important. My husband is Russian. He works for independent Russian media, and it's also quite a important work to convey the message for the Russian citizens, which also, so for the whole day, we receiving, this request for forgiveness and for, how ashamed a lot of people in Russia feels. But Ukrainian president, who's actually very famous actor and persona, well known across Russia. He addressed the Russian citizens and Russian residents yesterday in Russian. Do something. He's still in his meetings, which has like almost every hour he speaks. He tried to say go to the streets, but no, it's hardly possible if you speak about Russia.
He his message, unlike the bizarre rant we got from Vladimir Putin about how Ukraine's basically part of Russia and always has been, and if you want to throw down, then he's going to throw down. And he went on. But Zelensky's message was very different to the American people, to the Ukrainian people, saying, I want to address all citizens of Russia. We are separated by more than 2,000 kilometers of mutual borders, along which 200,000 of your soldiers and 1,000 armored vehicles are standing. Your leadership has approved their step forward onto the territory of another country. This step could become the beginning of a big war. This could cause, at any moment, any provocation, a spark that could burn everything down. You're told this flame will liberate the people of Ukraine, but the Ukrainian people are free. You are told we hate Russian culture. How can one hate a culture? Neighbors always enrich each other culturally. However, that doesn't make them a single whole. It doesn't dissolve us into you. We're different, but that's not a reason to be enemies. He says, listen to the voice of reason. The people of Ukraine want peace. The authorities in Ukraine want peace, and they're doing everything they can for it. We don't need war, but we will defend ourselves. We won't attack, but defend ourselves. By attacking, you will see our faces, not our backs, our faces. Oh, the problem is the Russian people won't hear that, will they, Nataliya? They won't see it.
So, and he said that probably they won't, but there are the reasonable people who would. But again, it maybe sounded unavoidable and, not something you can move. But I do think this address is also have a very strong moral, has very strong moral stance for the world, understanding that indeed this conflict is absolutely black and white, and there is no any reason to attack Ukraine. There is no real pretext. There is this madness of Vladimir Putin, and also being in touch. I'm working with the topic for so many years. So I even talked to some people who some time ago were closer to the Russian government. They are not there, and they feel the shame. And they say, I said, what is the reason? And they said, he's crazy. We can't say he just hates Ukraine with the reason because it's different, because it's democratic. It's exactly what he doesn't want Russia be. And there is this huge country just nearby, which show that pluralism is possible, where democracy is possible. And this also strange, that's also very difficult to add, because we hoped, and I think a lot of people hope, that there are those pragmatists in the Kremlin which say, okay, this ruins economy, this would ruin, everything we have, the peace we have in globe. But we see that such decisions are driven by the people who just, hate the other people. But honestly, it's very odd for me to say that, and I talking to a lot of people now. The only thing, it feels sometimes that the only thing which in fact works, these are those javelins, which the anti-air defense missiles, which were given to Ukraine, because we see that though Ukraine is a smaller army, but it, as I said earlier, it deters to as long as possible the Russian army,
the incoming forces.
The Ukrainians' idea is to really to show that it should be unconquerable for Russia. It should be the case when they can't occupy it. But of course, the life should be changed. It should be saved before we get to that stage.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.